All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Thanks for coming. We're going to be talking about decentralized network for WalletConnect. And if you don't already know, WalletConnect connects your wallets and it supports more than 200 wallets. It's an open protocol. And we're in this long, long mission to decentralize. And today I'm going to share some progress and where we're going and where we've gone today. So, to start off, my name is Pedro Gomes. I'm founder and CEO of WalletConnect, and it's been a long journey with FCC. So I've actually attended FCC 1, but then I got the opportunity to talk at FCC 2019 about standards and how it influenced the mainstream adoption. Then I even had a guest appearance on Starkware when we did the WalletConnect Starkware integration. And then we presented about WalletConnect V2 in 2021, which was still in beta. And then in WalletConnect in 2022, we actually launched WalletConnect V2. So what could I be talking more other than just WalletConnect over and over again throughout all of these years? What changed in this time? We had V1, and then we migrated the whole community to V2, and now we have a much more scalable infrastructure. So in this new era for WalletConnect, every wallet that you have now has been upgraded to WalletConnect 2.0, which means that we have a more scalable infrastructure that doesn't have outages whatsoever. We even reduced the infrastructure costs by more than 60%, and we have a more reliability, so less than 0.1% of messages are not delivered. And there's a all around just improved UX, because the WebSockets work better, like the infrastructure work better, but we also improved the clients on how they function, the cryptography and the storage. So all of these improvements are really nice, but they're only nice if we can actually maintain the ethos of WalletConnect, which is to be decentralized. In our mission with WalletConnect, we launched last year V2. This year we migrated. Next year we'll be federating. And federating is essentially a stepping stone into full decentralization, where we can have multiple operators in the WalletConnect network without having full decentralization in a permission network to decentralize from WalletConnect, the company. We're essentially the evangelists of this protocol, and we want to bootstrap the first network effects, but the end goal is that we fade into inexistence. So in this protocol, what we're essentially building is a messaging network. For those that might not know, the magic that happens behind the WalletConnect protocol is essentially end-to-end encrypted messaging. And this comes in two components, where your clients in your wallets are able to exchange keys with a dApp to do a Diffie-Hellman key exchange and then do end-to-end encrypted messaging. But then you have to have like an actual network that's always available and can actually relay these messages in real time. The requirements are much, much higher than what you would usually expect from a blockchain, where if a blockchain does 12 seconds like Ethereum, that's pretty good. And if it's a rollup, does even lower than that, and maybe even the fastest rollup does 1 second. In our scenario, we have to hit like 200, 300 milliseconds. We consider 500 milliseconds to be the worst case scenario. And that's really hard to do when you want to maintain the decentralization, where you want to give optionality of different node operators, but still maintain availability and make sure that everything is censorship resistant. So in this challenge, we kind of broke down the problem into smaller chunks. We're not going to decentralize completely in one go. It's not something that happens overnight. And we want to make sure that we have all of those properties, and then one day we can achieve the full vision of a fully decentralized, permissionless, and verifiable network that still maintains the same high reliability and low latency that we experience today. So, as everyone knows, it's not easy, and there's some trade-offs, obviously. And the challenge is, as I said, the low latency. But the low latency could be easy if there wasn't millions of requests. Like, in a single day, there might be billions of requests because we have seen just in the last week more than 500K active users, but those 500K active users connected their wallets almost 2 million times in that week. And for each given connection, there's billions of messages going on. And for those messages, you have to have a very low latency. And of course, it must be cheap. Like imagine you were going to connect your wallet and it costs $1 to connect and you haven't even done anything. So it has to be cheap to operate, but it also has to be incentivized to be highly performant. So with this added complexity to make it permissionless, we essentially have to allow anyone to run the network without actually compromising on the permission on the federation performance. So the original design is that we're doing something that hasn't been done before, because in other peer-to-peer networks, the compromise was you can have a fully decentralized network, but you compromise on latency. In 2021, we announced WalletConnect V2 beta, and it was using Waku. But then Waku was really great in terms of censorship resistance, but then it compromised on latency, and we were seeing up to 2 seconds just popping up the approval screen where you connect your wallet. So you want to do something that it's battle tested by essentially scaling our operation and at the same time decentralize different components along the way. So our approach is the following. This is what everyone saw in V1. You had a bridge and client 1 and 2 connected to the same bridge. So there wasn't actually multiple bridges, there was just a single bridge. And we run this bridge, and this is how we actually were able to shut down V1. V1 was not decentralized. It gave you the optionality to actually self-host, but you couldn't actually have two parties sharing a bridge. You had to have the same bridge for everyone. So in V2, what we did is we broke down the bridges into multiple relayers, and that's how we kind of renamed this. And we basically used this with a shared database. But the shared database still has high coordination, because while you can have multiple people reading it, you could only have a single person writing it. And this is the biggest problems that we had today. But you still have the same performance as V1, but you have the centralization of who can write. And that's the part where the decentralization comes really important. So the next step, which is what we're going to do next year, is we're already doing this internally, but we want to have third parties, our partners, actually run relays. And the only way we can do this is by having a curated list of who can run a relay. So that's how we actually make a federation. And they would use peer-to-peer network, but there would be a very selected list of who can actually run it. So you still maintain the latency because not everyone can join the network at the beginning. But the end goal is to go fully permissionless. And that's when you actually have like this very complicated system, and something that was so simple in the V1 with a single bridge server becomes so complicated, because now you actually have to have relays talking directly, but not relying on a shared registry. So they now have the blockchain as their source of truth. And then they would need to stake to actually participate. But then if the client doesn't have gas, they would need to have a payer, and the payer would be able to essentially act as a watcher if the relay has done their work. So this is the approach that we're taking so far. It doesn't mean that it's not going to change, but so far we have validated a lot of our concepts of how you can have a message routed between client 1 to client 2 without the client 1 or client 2 interacting with the blockchain, by having two parties, the relayer and the payer, and the payer makes sure that can have proofs to validate that the relayer has actually done the correct transaction. Actually, the biggest question to this day is actually the blockchain part. You know, this could be a sidechain, this could be a roll-up, this could just do like something like state proofs on like the beacon chain directly. This is still pretty much the biggest unknown question. The actual peer-to-peer network and how you actually validate message delivery is the most work part. We still have to kind of connect the dots with the blockchain and everything else. And in the future, you could see like enterprise like actually sharing this network. So you could have hobbyists run this network, but it would be very high stakes. Like having below 300 milliseconds latency is really hard to maintain, and it would require very high stakes. So we will likely not have the ability to have something like only $1,000 in staking. It would be very high stakes because you would be penalized a lot if you do not deliver messages. But the good thing is that all of these participants would be able to share the same network, and they would be highly incentivized to connect with each other. So any traffic that would go, for example, through Infura or Shopify or Google Cloud or WalletConnect Cloud would then interoperate with everyone else, and we won't have the same problem of the silos in Web 2. So having the blockchain coordination here to incentivize availability maintains the performance, but it also makes sure that we are all contributing to the net positive of the same messaging network, and we don't end up with a scenario where some of them just realize they can just build their own WalletConnect and they don't participate in the WalletConnect network. So our approach to going to permissionless, we have 3 challenges. The first one is the one that we tackled so far, which is the consensus on proof of delivery. So creating an incentive layer where people can publish proofs when a message isn't delivered, and it essentially validates signatures from the clients and that are countersigned by the relays, and every time it does a route, it almost feels very similar to how Lightning Network works, where you have different routes, but we incentivize to have the least hops as possible, so there's only 1 to 2 hops. And then the second challenge is actually when something bad happens, how can we have what we call like snitch nodes or watch nodes that essentially observe the network but do not participate in the actual message delivery. So at any point in time, they can actually create a proof that will slash the other quantas. And then challenge 3 is when the token actually gets involved. So this is we're tackling each challenge as a different milestone so that we can then have the full permissionless nature of the WalletConnect network. What we've done so far is it was already kind of hard to put it in a multi-region. So going from July to October 2022, what we've done is before, if you were like based, I don't know, in Argentina or Australia, you were super far off from our servers in Germany. So the latency was really bad. So having a shared database across different regions, essentially creating an edge network for WalletConnect, reduced the latency down to 300 milliseconds. So you have like multiple relays actually reading from the same database, but only the European database could actually write to the messages. And now we're going into October 2023, where we're gonna start rolling out an internal version of having the permission network. So it's still our own servers. Only WalletConnect Cloud will operate these servers, but we'll use not the shared database approach, but with the permission registry approach. And then in April 2024, we actually allow our partners to participate, and we have the full federation happen in April 2024. From 2024 to 2025, there's a big gap here. There's no month in there on purpose because we don't actually know if that's January or December, you know? So going from a federation into a fully decentralized will require a lot of coordination into how you actually do token distribution, how do you actually involve like the staking, what are the slashing conditions, what are the ideal number of nodes that we try to optimize for. So we are very confident until April 2024 with the federation. It will be a massive improvement over what we have today. But 2025 is still a big question about how do we make it decentralized. But that's not all, you know. This was kind of exhausting, you know. It's like very technical, and it's like WalletConnect is just like protocol. But like we have a massive team. Like we have a lot of talent engineers. We build WalletConnect SDKs in JavaScript, in Swift, Kotlin, Flutter, Unity. We basically built for every platform out there for both wallets and dApps. And that means we can actually offer a very great experience for developers in different areas. And we have a really great product suite, which we call Web3 Wallet, Web3 Model, Web3 Inbox. This is the product suite that allows today for you to build the best experience for Web3, and it tackles different problems for different platforms. All of these SDKs will be available for iOS, Android, Web, React Native, Flutter, and Unity. And let's start with the Web3 Wallet. So Web3 Wallet is I guess you could call it like our partner SDK. Our more than 200 wallets use this SDK to provide a really great experience for connecting wallets to dApps, and enables the experience that you're all familiar with, but it also includes a brand new experience where you can have a one-click login. So if you're familiar with signing with Ethereum, you have to connect your wallet and then it asks you to sign a message. We've reduced this to a single step where you don't have to connect your wallet and you sign the message right away. Another thing that we did add was a brand new security feature. You can see there where you have WalletConnect.com. Now you can actually have a verified badge where we can guarantee the legitimacy of the website that you're connecting to. It's very different when you connect with the browser extension because it's embedded into the browser, so you have strong guarantees of the website that you're connecting to. But WalletConnect is a secure remote connection. But the security part does not provide authenticity. So we have a new feature called the Verify API, which allows you to actually do a DNS verification of your project. And if someone tries to actually impersonate your project, it will be targeted and the wallets will actually be able to flag it. So for example, you have the WalletConnect website, and then on the other side, someone is trying to impersonate the WalletConnect website with example.com, and you can have this domain is not verified, check if it's legit, you know? So that way, users have a better way to inform themselves about when connecting. So that was for wallets. And for Modal, we have this Connect Wallet experience that goes beyond just WalletConnect. So you can connect with MetaMask, Coinbase, Trust, and other wallets. But the most exciting feature that we're going to launch this summer is actually the email and social login. So embedded into the Web3 model, you will be able to have users who don't even have a wallet to actually log in with an email and create a wallet immediately. For us, this is what we call a pre-wallet experience, where we will incentivize users to move into a wallet, but at least they won't leave your dApp if they have this option before they actually decide to download the wallet. And finally, we are expanding into communication. Because WalletConnect is a messaging network, you can actually communicate by having two main features with Web3 Inbox. You can add customer support into your dApp, where you can actually chat with chatbots that will help you during your dApp experience. But most importantly, you can have dApp notifications directly into the wallet. This means that the user doesn't have to create this anxiety where they constantly visiting your dApp just to check the prices or their liquidity positions or the latest governance proposal, and they can get notified and know very critical moments when they actually need to visit your dApp. So Web3 Inbox SDK is still in development, so we will launch a Web3 Inbox app where you will be able to experience this before wallets actually integrate this directly into their apps. So in web3inbox.com, you will be able to have both dApp notifications and customer support chat built in into this website where you can connect your wallet. So that's it. Covered our journey to decentralization and also showed our product suite. And I'm really excited to see where WalletConnect goes next year at FCC 7. Thank you.